this obviously was not as good as the last 2 episodes. It would be hard to be as good as those 2 episodes. Filoni is really setting the bar. Favreau and Filoni, mostly Filoni, I think, because as we're about to discuss, Favreau's going to have to take a bit of a hit for this Boba Fett show because he's very much involved. But they've set the bar quite high for themselves. And it was pretty high to begin with going into the Book of Boba Fett off of Mando season 1 and 2. Even though we love to complain sometimes about the episodic nature of Mando, it always ended up really delivering. I don't know if the same can be said for Boba Fett, especially with the Boba Fett characters. Maybe the show did deliver for the Mando characters. But even though this wasn't as good, I didn't think it was a horrible season finale. I think it had some really interesting and cool elements, which we're going to discuss right now, as well as a little bit of some thoughts as to why this, didn't work out and maybe what they were trying to do, but did not. So as soon as we finished the watch along this morning, the live watch along for the season finale, right? I jumped over to Twitter to see what was trending. I thought maybe Rancor might be trending. And, to be fair, right now, the Book of Boba Fett is what's trending, along with Fennec Shand. And then who was trending first? Mr. Robert Rodriguez. And not in a good way, not in a Bryce Dallas Howard way. This is with fans adamant that he should never touch Star Wars again. He's not Rian Johnson level rejected by fans, but it's close. It's close. Although while fans had problems with Rian Johnson's creative choices, at least The Last Jedi was cinematic. I think quite cinematic. Very cinematic. Whereas the real problem with Robert Rodriguez is his directing chops, that they have just not been up to snuff. They're a little too Saturday morning cartoon. Like, toy commercial, Rancor versus droid fight was funny. Like, that was funny that it was so much like a toy commercial. But that's the quality of Robert Rodriguez's directing. Just, a child holding some action figures and, bashing them against each other. That's kind of like what he does. I mean, even though it was cool to see, it's hard to mess up a Rancor versus droid fight. So, of course, there were still very cool moments. But I think a lot of other directors would have leveled it up significantly, and it would have been a lot more iconic. Also, bottom line, the episode was technically the longest of the season, yet it seems like not that much happened at all. And I blame the ridiculous amount of time spent on discussing battle plans. What do you guys think we should do? Well, I think we should do this. Oh, well, I have an idea. And none of which really worked either. And some of them were a little hokey. Like, you could totally see, it was so... as I've said before, I love that Star Wars is leaning so heavily into the Western genre, but, sometimes they act like none of us have ever seen a Western. Like when Boba Fett wrote down what he wanted to do for the mayor's assistant to go and negotiate. My friend pronounces it negotiate, so I always love saying negotiate. He got very bad education in Coruscant because who doesn't look down at what they're authorized to negotiate with before they actually go out there. So, we all knew how that was going to go. On that note, speaking of writing things down, let's not forget, as I said, that Jon Favreau wrote all the episodes that Robert Rodriguez directed, and the whole season, with the exception of episode 6, which was co-written by Dave Filoni. And a lot of these scripts were weak. Favreau is also an executive producer along with Rodriguez, so he was right there the whole time guiding this series. I still have tremendous faith in Jon Favreau. I just want to make that clear, but I don't think it's fair to pin it entirely on Robert Rodriguez. I think in an effort to differentiate Boba Fett from Mando, Boba Fett, as Cad Bane put it, went straight, right? He was no longer a bounty hunter, no longer a villain. But as I said way back when James Mangold was first supposed to direct a Boba Fett movie, which now Kathleen Kennedy said never happened, despite being reported by the trades, did Patty Jenkins never actually get a deal to direct Rogue Squadron, right? Is Rian Johnson still working on his trilogy? It's just taken him a really long time. Anyway, I said at that time, and some of you have pointed this out, and I appreciate that the worst thing you could do would be to make Boba Fett a swell guy. Because the whole reason fans have always liked him is because he's a mysterious, deadly son of a bitch. And if you're going to take that quality away from him, you better put something really cool in its place. And this series did not do that. I think that they might have been trying, Robert Rodriguez and Jon Favreau might have wanted to give the Unforgiven treatment here, which I think makes sense. And I thought the exchange in this episode between Boba Fett and Cad Bane was beautiful, where Bane said, "You're going soft in your old age," and Boba Fett said, "We all do." And I thought that was really interesting. I think that's an interesting thing to think about. But I don't think that the series illustrated that very well. And I think the series made Boba Fett look weak instead of showing the strength of his restraint, the strength of his changing paths. I mean, it didn't help that he never had an idea of his own, by the way, with Fennec Shand basically running him like a puppet. And out of respect for Boba Fett, I put that a lot more delicately than I could have. And the one time that Boba Fett goes in for the kill is to take out fan favorite Cad Bane. I can't believe that nobody in the writer's room was like, I think that's going to turn fans against Boba Fett. But is Cad Bane dead? Hard to tell. One of you said his heart's in his knee, where Boba Fett's blaster is. Knee's getting a lot of action. But I mean, it looked like he was killed, but you have to think about his supposed last words to Boba Fett, which are, "I knew you were a killer." So does Boba Fett prove him right? It would seem that the whole point of the series would be for him to prove Cad Bane wrong. Yet why wouldn't the show therefore then make that clear to audiences, although the return of Cobb Vanth in the end credit scene, right? I mean, if the whole point is that Boba Fett has changed and he is a better person and this journey he's went on has made him someone new, why would he then go right back to what Cad Bane expected him to do? It's just sloppy. And yes, there's a line for the Bacta tank, right? Maybe Cad Bane is next. Maybe they should have panned to the left and he'd be sitting there with little number 2 being like, "I'm going in next." But it seems even the tank is enough to bring Cobb back as he's getting droided. And here's hoping he gets a cooler upgrade than Fennec Shand's abs, which have never seemed to do anything for her. But you know what was cool? Fennec killing the mayor and the leader of the Pike Syndicate, Batman style, if Batman killed. During the watch long, I was like, wow, did someone just hang the mayor? Because you saw his feet, it was Disney, so they did it off camera, but you still saw his feet, struggle and then go limp. And I was like, that couldn't be Boba Fett. Boba Fett wouldn't do that now. And he, I guess Boba Fett doesn't need to be a killer. If Fennec Shand is, that seems hypocritical again of the point of the show. That seems, it just like the Boba Fett. It seems like Boba Fett makes a thesis statement and then Fennec Shand winks at the audience and is like, we're not actually going to do that. I mean, it was a cool scene and it helped build the legend of Fennec Shand, but just totally at the expense of Boba Fett. Really, the show and Star Wars has to stop having people do stuff behind his back. His word means nothing because nobody respects it. Not his peers, not even his own people. He didn't even at least tell Fennec Shand that he doesn't want to know what she does. He didn't even own up to knowingly turning a blind eye. So it made him look particularly foolish, I thought, when he was walking down the street, although he has quite the smile. But when he was walking down the street saying, "Hey, everybody," and he kind of put this vibe out like, "I did it my way," and you're like, no, you didn't. Fennec did the old ways. She's still a criminal. You're still a crime lord. You're living a lie, man. And he doesn't even know it. All right, as for Fennec, though, I guess her punishment is that she's now stuck on the B team. I love that the rat catcher was there, though, part of the group. But I still don't love the Vespa Street Gang. I'm still not sold on them, even though I do love that actress from Yellow Jackets. And only the pigs died, squealing all the way down. The disrespect. I think this whole group, if they're lucky, is going back to guest star status. I don't know if we'll see the Vespa Gang again. But, Santy, I'm sure some people will come rolling into Mos Espa in a future Star Wars show. And Boba Fett and Fennec Shand will still be setting up shop in Jabba's ex-palace, right? Basically. But I don't think we're going to get a Boba Fett season 2. Especially with, hopefully, much better Star Wars content on the way. The whole detour of this show, it's just so poorly constructed outside of the Mando season 2.5 elements. It's just real interesting, right? All right. At least the season finale had a lot of callbacks and payoffs. The best being Boba Fett finally getting to ride the Rancor. It's funny, during the watch-along, just moments before, I was like, he never got to ride that Rancor. What was the point of all that? And then he came barreling in. He didn't need any training. I mean, they did this big setup about how you have to earn the Rancor's trust, but I guess Boba Fett's just that cool off camera. But the Harryhausen stop motion of it all was again, pretty cool, as well as the homage to King Kong. I thought that was nice. And I think it's funny that the Rancor basically has my grandma's hands. That was really cute. The action scenes were weird, though, not only because of how they were directed, but also it was hard to get a good grasp of what beat what, especially because what they seemed to imply didn't make any sense, right? Like, the Rancor could take out the droids, take tons of blasts, run through buildings, but when someone puts a little fire in his face, he turns tail and runs out of there. I mean, at least give him some burns to sell it, where you're like, he's very sensitive to fire. I mean, it just made absolutely no sense. Then also, how is the Darksaber such a fabled blade, yet couldn't get through the droid force fields? I thought it would cut through them like butter. And it couldn't even dice up the droid once Mando got inside the force field. So I thought that was a little disappointing. I was like, the Darksaber, I mean, it's a laser sword, just like, a lightsaber. It's supposed to be even cooler than a lightsaber in some ways. So I thought that was a little anticlimactic. I was like, oh, wait till he uses his Darksaber. And then I was like, oh, it's useless. Whatever. All right. And then why would Grogu take out a single part of the battle droid? By the way, I wish that at least Amy Sedaris' mechanic had told Grogu what to go for. Been like, hey, little buddy, that part'll do it. That would have been a nice touch. But why didn't Grogu just use the Force to crush those droids like a tin can? That would have been so satisfying. I guess he's not quite there yet in his skill set, but maybe he could have crushed part of it. Maybe the eye, right? More on Grogu in a moment. But first, I just want to say that I did like seeing Boba Fett and Mando jetpacking in tandem. Woo! It was like ice dancing. I thought it was great. And again, Boba Fett deploying his iconic knee gun, not once, but twice. And kind of doing it also in a dance sort of way. That Vespa guy kind of did a dance spin as well, like totally unnecessary spin for that shot. And then also Boba Fett himself demonstrated some sweet moves that showed just a glimmer of what could have been. Also, he's lost the coolness of the suit. When I brought up this photo for the knee guns to double check if he did indeed have knee guns in the past, I say iconic because I'm sure Boba Fett fans know about the knee guns. But I was like, I kind of love the Men at Work, alien, like truckers in space kind of feel to Boba Fett's old look. And they've lost that. I mean, look, he's basically wearing like sweatpants and like Velcro sneakers, very 70s. And I think that's totally missing from Boba Fett today. Now, the star of the episode, of course, in my opinion, was Grogu, right? With Mando season 2.5, basically, doing a great job setting up a situation where Mando is doing less babysitting in season 3 and has more of a partner. Well, maybe not a partner just yet, but a sidekick, a Robin to his Batman. Grogu now walks. Adorable. He's so cute. You can almost hear his diaper, right? I don't know if he's wearing a diaper, but it looks like he is. He's so cute. And he's gotten a good dose of self-confidence. Hey, he turned down Luke Skywalker. And Luke, in classic pouty fashion, didn't even bother to drive Grogu back to Mando, but instead basically called him an Uber. Luke, I love it. He's so bitchy. All right. Then Grogu wearing, and it's true. Then Grogu, that's why I personally didn't mind The Last Jedi, but you can't deny that most people had a huge problem with it. Then Grogu, wearing his new adorable metal long johns, decided to have a few standoffs himself this episode. He waddled into the middle of the street, narrowed his cute little eyes. He's so adorable. First taking out one of the battle droids, as we discussed, and then putting the Rancor to sleep. And deciding to take a nap next to him. Instant classic Grogu moment. Mando needs to start taking pictures of this stuff. It's so cute. But by far and away, my favorite moment was Grogu using the Force to leap up and hug Mando when he first saw him again. That just made my heart soar. It was just so wonderful. And then when the vehicle was taken out, Mando instantly goes to protect Grogu. Poor Amy Sedaris be damned. Did she lose a tooth this episode? Hilarious. But don't worry, it looks like she continues to date across the galaxy, as there was a total vibe between her and the mayor's assistant. I dig it. I think they make a great couple, and I'd actually love to see him come back for Mando season 3 to see them maybe, dating. I think that's great. They don't have to live together just yet, but I think they make a great couple. Back to Grogu and Mando, their bond continues to be incredible. And as I've said before with Mando season 1 and 2, it's really wonderful to see a father's love portrayed so well, as Hollywood has typically focused on mothers. It's just really great. It's just so great. Pedro Pascal is Hollywood's dad. It looks like Grogu is about to enter his terrible twos, right? To go from baby to toddler. And he likes to go fast, which I thought was really cute. I can't wait for him to learn to talk. I've heard rumors that Mando season 3 will be the last, which seems very sad considering how good the stuff was here. But obviously these characters are around forever and can be used in other shows, right? Finally, shout out to the production design, VFX, and stagecraft teams. They did a great job here. I thought the backdrops were very well realized, even though Mos Espa, to me, never evolved to be more than Tatooine generic. Some people complain that Star Wars spends too much time on Tatooine, and of course Obi-Wan will largely take place here as well, which is the next Star Wars series. And it was such a nice break to go and visit Luke's school on that planet. I would agree that maybe we do spend a little bit too much time on Tatooine. But let's see. I'm excited for Obi-Wan. Hopefully there's a trailer on Sunday. That would be great if there was a teaser spot. So I'm not sorry I watched the Book of Boba Fett. And thank you for those who watched it live with me during the watch-alongs. I had a great time. And I think the Mando Season 2 2.5 stuff was amazing. We'll never forget watching that. It was just incredible. And I thought even Boba did still have some really nice moments. It was just overall poorly done, and it could have easily been so much better, which I think is what made it even more frustrating. And someone else is going to have to come along and fix Boba Fett if audiences are even interested in fixing him at this point. How many OG Star Wars characters is Lucasfilm going to mess up? Are they just going to start focusing on the Filoni characters? I think that seems to maybe be a little bit of the case, although of course Obi-Wan's coming back as we speak. But yeah, by the way, Han Solo never showed up. Was he cut? Was he actually filming for another Star Wars show? We'll find out. I still hope to someday see Luke, Han, and Leia reunited. And now Star Wars still, they keep missing opportunities to do it. But now with this new technology, they have forever to do it. But I hope they don't make us wait forever. All right, share your thoughts down below about today's season finale and the season as a whole, and your thoughts for Mando Season 3. Subscribe today, and of course, as always, you can check out some more videos right now.